LEGO's quite literally made thousands of themes since they started making plastic toys. Some of them have been unbelievably successful, like Ninjago and LEGO Star Wars, but others have completely fallen off. From themes like Chima and Atlantis that were short-lived but super popular, to ones like Bionicle that flourished for years before slowly starting to decline. Today, we'll be looking at some LEGO themes that just aren't what they used to be, starting with the biggest fall-off in all of LEGO, Bionicle. This is a theme we all know. We've all probably owned at least one set from it, and even though it's one of the biggest fall-offs in LEGO history, it was actually a lot more forced than you might realize. Bionicle was the savior of LEGO back in the early 2000s. In the 90s, LEGO was bleeding money. They needed something new that people really liked so they could get the business back on track. Bionicle pulled LEGO out of this financial rut that they'd been in for so long, and single-handedly revived the business. After this, it was smooth sailing. Sales were way higher than they'd been the past few years, and Bionicle became one of the best-selling LEGO themes ever made, but it all came crashing down just a few years later. Bionicle had a very in-depth plotline, and when it ended in 2010, the sets ended with it. Apparently, sales had been slowly going down over the years, so a lot of people think LEGO changed the story so they could discontinue the theme early. For some reason, they tried bringing it back in 2014, but what they did in 2010 was the nail in the coffin. In 2016, LEGO discontinued Bionicle again, and since then, they haven't made a new set. This theme has one of the deepest stories in all of LEGO. Like, Duckbricks literally made a 9-hour video explaining the lore, but I am certainly not doing all that. So let's move on to the next fall-off, Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, when you hear this name, you probably think there's no way it fell off. But let me ask you, when's the last time you saw a new LEGO Pirates of the Caribbean set in stores? The answer is you haven't, because this theme's been retired since 2017. Which I have to say is really crazy. These movies were up there with Star Wars, Fast and Furious, and everything else that was popular in the early 2000s. So it's a little weird that the LEGO version's been gone for almost 10 years. But that's the problem with licensed LEGO themes. They fully rely on what people think of the movies. So if people don't like the newest movie, the LEGO sets aren't gonna sell very well. The Force Awakens. 6 years is a pretty long time for a LEGO theme to be around. But even if it's a literal pillar of LEGO as a company, it can still come crashing down. These next few are going to be all about that, and the most obvious one in recent years is LEGO City. Even if you know nothing about LEGO, you've heard of this theme. It was literally impossible to watch TV 15 years ago and not hear a minifigure yelling. And that's because this theme really was that popular. LEGO usually only makes commercials for two types of themes. Brand new ones to get them off the ground, or ones in their prime so they can keep people in the loop and get more sales. And City definitely falls in the second category. It's no wonder the most valuable sets in the entire theme are all from the early 2000s. It was literally in the prime of its career. It was a cheap, fun LEGO theme that focused on the thing that made LEGO LEGO, playing with toys. But now it's pretty much lost all of its culture. Most sets now are way over $50, which if you're just looking for a fun set to play with is way too much. It's slowly but surely lost its charm over the years. But honestly, we're lucky it's still around, because I can't say the same for these next few themes. And the craziest part is that they're stronger pillars than City ever was. When you look at the history of LEGO, there's one year in particular that always gets talked about: 1979. It was one of their best years ever, and it's not just because of minifigures. It's the themes that those minifigures were in: space, castle, and pirates. These three together were literally the founding fathers of modern-day LEGO, and it's for a reason. Obviously, you can tell just by looking at how expensive some of the sets from these themes are. But just like City, LEGO tried really hard to put their core values into every single set in these themes. And since they did that, the pirate ships, the spaceships, and the castles are not only some of the most recognizable sets they've ever made, but they're also the most sought after too. But if these themes were so successful, how did they ever fall off? Well, the truth is, LEGO kind of just ran out of ideas. There's only so much you can make for a theme based on pirates or medieval times, and after trying so many different things, people just got tired of them. As a result, LEGO retired Pirates and Space in 2015 and Castle in 2016, but they've actually made sets for all three of them since then. They're all in the Icons theme, which I guess is just LEGO's whatever theme, since there's a bunch of random stuff in it. They've only made one set for Pirates, but they've made 3 for Space and 4 for Castle, and they all actually look really good. It's clear that LEGO still has love in their hearts for these themes, but probably can't afford to operate them because of business stuff. That exact thing has gotten in the way of so many awesome themes, but one of the biggest ones wasn't even a full-fledged theme. It was a sub-theme of space called Futuron. Now, when I say that name, most of you probably have no idea why it's in this video, but the reason it's here is because it's the sub-theme with the famous monorail set. This thing was the talk of the town in the 80s when it came out, and it's the sole reason behind Futuron having some of the most bloated aftermarket prices in all of LEGO. The cheapest set is only about 30 bucks, but it was less than 3 when it came out. Isn't that crazy? The monorail was quite literally the best set LEGO had ever made at the time. It was the perfect combination of their core values, and it showed. But for some reason, they never made another monorail set in Futuron. And by the time they made the next one, Futuron had been retired for 5 years. LEGO literally struck gold with this sub-theme, but completely sold trying to capitalize on it. And wanna know why? Money. The molds for the tracks were super expensive, and the pieces themselves were expensive too, and apparently profit was either too low or not there at all, so they ditched the idea. Like I said, money is one of the biggest reasons certain themes have fallen off, but there's a certain period in time where themes were popping up and dying in the same year, no matter how much people loved them, and that time period is the early 2000s to the early 2010s. So many themes never made it out of these years, but one of the biggest ones by far was Legends of Chima. When it was in its prime, it felt like it was gonna be around forever. New sets, new minifigures, a TV show on Cartoon Network. It was literally a direct competitor with Ninjago, but what a lot of people might not know is that this was done on purpose. In 2014, when Chima came out, Ninjago sales had been steadily dropping, so LEGO wanted to make a new theme to replace it, and Chima is what they ended up with. Obviously, as we know today, Ninjago is nowhere near falling off, even 3 years after the main story ended, but that wasn't the case for Chima. Just as fast as it came out in 2013, it was gone in 2015. And even though 2 years felt like forever when I was a kid, that's really not that much time at all. The story with Chima is definitely a sad one, but the thing is, it's not even the only theme with this story. Since LEGO was trying to replace Ninjago, they were doing anything they could to get something off the ground. So along with launching Chima in 2013, they launched the Mixels theme in 2014. This is another one that was super popular in its prime. But like I said, their story is identical to Chima's. It did well out the gate, then sales slowly but surely slowed down until LEGO decided to retire it, which was after 2 years, by the way, same as Chima. I've talked about how experimental LEGO was in the early 2010s in a bunch of different videos, but what they did in the basketball theme was unlike anything we'd ever seen at the time. All the sets in this theme were pretty small, but that's not what made them special. It was the minifigures. LEGO quite literally reinvented them for this theme, and made one of the most popular play features of all time. The theme came out in 2003, so just keep in mind how long ago this happened when I tell you. The legs couldn't be separated, the arms had locking rotation points, kind of like a car door, and the hands were made to hold a basketball, so they were way different than regular minifigure hands. The thing that made these minifigs so special though were the springs. Every single minifigure had these springs in their thighs, which allowed you to bend them back and throw the basketball like a catapult. This theme was literally only around for a year, but to be honest, it was way ahead of its time. These days, people are always complaining about how sets don't have play features anymore. So if they dropped the basketball theme today, I guarantee you it would have done super well. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. And instead, we ended up with a really cool idea that died over 20 years ago. But what was LEGO trying before the basketball theme? I said they were super experimental, so they must have been trying a lot of different stuff, right? Well, allow me to introduce you to LEGO Studios, another theme that was way ahead of its time. This one ran from 2000 to 2002 and focused on one thing: movie making, specifically stop motion animation. Every set in this theme is either based on a scene from an actual movie or is meant to be used as a prop, but that isn't all Studios has to offer. The first set in this theme is the Steven Spielberg Movie Maker set, and it came with an actual video camera. I'm pretty sure it's the only set in this theme that has one, but a lot of other ones came with CDs that had sound effects, tutorials, and all sorts of cool stuff. Stop motion animation with LEGO really blew up after the LEGO movie. So just like the basketball theme, if they had just waited to make it, it probably would have done really well. Obviously, we can't know for sure if people would have actually liked it. Sometimes ideas can be really cool at first and get boring really fast, like the Creator 3-in-1 theme. To be honest, I don't even know how this theme lasted so long, but it's been around since 2006. The name is pretty self-explanatory. Every set in this theme can be built in 3 different ways, and it's up to the builder which way they want to build it. You can never have all 3, or even 2 out of 3. Every build uses the same amount of pieces, but looks way different, which is actually a really cool idea. One of the most notable ones from recent times is the retro telephone set, which has 4 different phones from 3 different eras. But this is one of the only recent ones that actually did well. I know it feels like LEGO's gotten more expensive over the years, and certain sets definitely have, I'll never argue that. But a big reason everything feels more expensive these days is because LEGO just doesn't make sets with a small amount of pieces anymore. The phone set only has 383 and was priced at 30 bucks, which is why people like it. But for the most part, they make ones like the medieval dragon set for $60, the haunted house set for $90, and the medieval castle set for $130. If you're a parent trying to buy LEGO for your 6-year-old, all of these prices are way too high. Obviously, this theme is still around, but I can almost guarantee you that pricing sets like this will eventually be its downfall. Let's look at a theme that has a similar problem: LEGO Friends. This is another theme that had an insane prime. It happened right around the same time as LEGO City, but it's definitely not what it used to be. If you go onto Brick Economy and sort everything by year, you'll have to scroll past 11 sets before you find one that's less than $50. And even then, those 11 sets are more than $50. Friends is a theme that was made specifically for kids. You can argue all you want about who LEGO Star Wars is for, but this one is cut and dry. When you make something for kids, you have to make it accessible. The kids aren't the ones paying for the sets. It's not like anything from the Ultimate Collector series, where a 60-year-old guy can buy a $700 LEGO set because he grew up on Star Wars and has adult money now. The parents have to buy it, and when literally anything good is over $50, it makes them not want to buy it. I'll cut the rant short, but I know we all feel the same way. When certain themes fall off, it really breaks our hearts. But what theme do you miss the most? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.